She marched into my yard like she ran the entire town, heels digging into the dirt as she waved a sheet of paper high in the air. "This is official," she shouted. "You owe the HOA $1 million for breaking community rules." She shook the paper at me as if it were a verdict that couldn't be questioned. I almost laughed, but I held it in. I sat on my porch.com, hands folded, watching her tremble with forced authority. Behind her, two neighbors peeked from their windows, whispering among themselves. She wanted an audience, and she was getting one. I asked slowly, $1 million. For what? Watering tomatoes, she snapped. Then she listed her accusations: unauthorized landscaping, misuse of the property, and public disturbance. "If you don't pay, we'll take your home." That last word lit a fire in my chest. She thought she had me trapped. She looked at me like I was just an old man with dusty boots, someone easy to push around. She had no idea what I knew or what I had kept quiet for years. I leaned forward. "You're really sure this is your land, aren't you?" She smirked and turned slightly so the neighbors could see her confidence. "Of course, it's ours. This is HOA territory. Follow the rules or you don't belong here." I let a long, heavy pause hang in the air. Then I said quietly, "Interesting. Because your clubhouse, your pool, even that shiny office you like to sit in might not be on your land at all." Her face twitched for just a moment, but I saw it. And in that flicker, I knew I had just struck the first crack in her perfect little kingdom. Her smirk faded. She stepped closer and thrust the paper in my face again. "Don't test me. We can take everything. Your truck, your tools, even this house. You'll be out before the week ends." Her voice sounded sharp, but underneath it, I heard uncertainty. She was trying to convince herself as much as me. I stood slowly, dusting off my jeans. "You're awfully confident, Karen," I said loud enough for the neighbors to hear, "especially about rules that don't apply to me." That pushed her over the edge. "Don't call me that. I'm the president of this HOA and my authority means nothing," I said calmly, "because authority without ownership is just noise." She froze. For a moment, she had no words. Then 2 security guards walked up from the street, trying to look official with dark glasses and cheap uniforms. Karen folded her arms, standing taller now that backup had arrived. "Gentlemen, remove him. He's trespassing." The neighbors gasped. Someone started recording. I looked from the guards to her. Instead of moving, I pulled a folded envelope from my back pocket. My hands stayed steady even though my heartbeat kicked up. "Interesting timing," I said, opening the document. "You think this land belongs to your little club, but this," I tapped the paper, "says otherwise." The guards exchanged confused looks. Karen tried to snatch the envelope, but I stepped back. "That's fake. He's lying," she shouted, her voice rising. But more neighbors came out, phones up, whispers spreading. I leaned close enough for only her to hear. "I'm about to show them something that will shatter everything you've built." Her face drained of color. She finally had nothing to say. I walked toward the edge of the yard, the envelope in my hand. "Everyone here," I called out, "deserves to know who actually owns what. Let's settle this." Karen's jaw dropped. "You can't," but her words were drowned out by the crowd gathering on their porches and lawns. The guards shifted nervously, unsure what to do. I lifted the papers. "This entire HOA clubhouse," I said, pointing at the building she always bragged about, "sits entirely on my property. According to the deed, the survey records, and the county files, this land is mine." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some neighbors whispered, others stared. Karen turned red, then pale, then red again. "That can't be," she stuttered. "It can," I said, "and it is." A neighbor stepped closer, squinting at the page. "This shows she's literally standing on your land." Karen waved her arms wildly. "That's fake. The HOA has." I cut her off. "You brought people pretending to be security. You brought threats. You came here demanding $1 million, and yet the clubhouse you claim as your pride. It's on my land, which means your authority is nothing more than a story you've been repeating." The guards looked at each other, clearly realizing they were standing on property they had no business claiming. One of them muttered, "We should probably go." Karen spun toward me, her voice cracking. "You'll regret this." I folded the envelope slowly. "Do what you need to, but right now the law and the neighbors see the truth. And truth has a way of drowning out noise." People started clapping and cheering. Karen's face twisted in frustration and disbelief. For the first time, she looked uncertain. The first major shift had arrived. Her illusion of control was collapsing. Her frustration boiled over. She stomped toward the clubhouse, shouting at the guards, "Call the police. Tell them he's trespassing." The guards hesitated. Their false confidence was gone. One whispered, "Ma'am, maybe we should leave." "No," she yelled. "Call them now." I stepped onto my porch, letting her anger echo. "If you want real officers," I said gently, "call them, but be ready to explain the claims you've been making." Her phone buzzed. She answered instantly, her voice sharp. The neighbors leaned in, listening. Moments later, her expression shifted again, pale, then furious. She snapped her phone shut. "They said they're sending someone, but they need proof. Proof of ownership." And her voice faded. A small smile tugged at my lips. The cracks were growing. Karen's desperation pushed her into another mistake. She pulled out another fake notice and waved it. "I can still fine you. You can't just—" I raised a hand. "You know as well as I do that false notices and made-up authority lead to serious consequences." Her eyes darted around. She realized the crowd wasn't with her anymore. Phones were raised. The guards looked ready to disappear. Karen tried shouting over the murmurs, but no one paid attention. I said loudly, "Here's some advice, Karen. Threatening people, pretending to have power, and stepping onto land you don't control never ends well. And today, you proved it yourself." Her face went pale. Her hands shook. She wasn't the commanding HOA leader she pretended to be. She was someone caught in her own story. The air tightened. The crowd waited. Then I leaned in again, voice steady. "Funny thing, Karen, you had no idea my family has dealt with situations like this before. Real law, real authority, not badges printed in an office." Her mouth opened, closed, then opened again. "You're lying." I shook my head. "No. My wife trained with tactical teams. My brother served as a sheriff. And I've got every document needed to show who actually owns this land and who's been misleading this neighborhood." Gasps filled the air. Phones came up higher. The guards froze, realizing the cameras were turning in their direction. Karen searched for an escape. I pulled out a small tablet and pressed play. The screen lit up with footage from cameras on my property showing her leaving false notices, staging confrontations, and calling people she presented as officials. The neighborhood fell silent, then erupted into shocked whispers. Karen's face drained completely. She reached for the tablet, but I held it away. "This," I said slowly, "is what happens when someone chooses dishonesty and intimidation over respect and truth. Now it's documented, and everyone here has seen it." Her voice shook. "You can't show that. People will. This is wrong." I shook my head. Revealing the truth isn't wrong, and now everyone who matters knows exactly what happened. The crowd stood behind me, and for the first time, Karen had nothing left to hide behind.